Welcome everybody to not a CIRF report, but a CIRF update. See, I want to apologize for not producing a CIRF report last week, especially with the eclipse coming up. I had an epiphany, which I expected. I actually had all the CIRF slides completed. I was getting ready to accomplish it and was stopped. And I think what this was not only eclipse energy, but also the Pluto conjunct Saturn, which I was going to talk about, which is kind of a turning point and a big turning point in life. And it wasn't a self-fulfilling prophecy. I really, no kidding, felt compelled to not do that report. And there's reason. And this video here is going to hopefully explain what's happening with CIRF reports. CIRF reports aren't dead, but I'm gonna talk about what I'm doing with my time, because CIRF reports, collective influence reports and forecast, what they're designed to do is to give us a heads up on energy that is affecting all of us, and then how to behave to best handle that particular energy. Well, what I didn't talk about was that how CIRF reports in and of themselves were started earlier than the bigger project. Yes, CIRF reports are actually part of a small part of a bigger project, and that project is called IAM2, and I'll explain a little bit about what this is, because I have to spend time to get the bigger project completed so that this CIRF report fits, this module fits perfectly into that grander scheme. The IAM2 model is, well, I have some slides here, and hopefully, see, I have a book written. I'm not here to make this video to advertise my book. It's been around for several years. I'm taking the book and I'm making it more clinical. I'm taking my counseling, psychology experience, and I'm going to bring in science and do some research and interject into that old book, bringing some of the material with me. And I'm not meant to advertise that book, so I'm not telling you what the name is. It might be on some of this material here. I'm not expecting anybody to go out and buy it. It's on Amazon, but don't feel compelled to get that. I'm going to rewrite the book, and it's going to be much more, practical, I guess. Practical and how to use it. And what this is it sounds so simple, yin and yang, and how to handle our energies. But I'm going to go through this just really quick, an introduction, and hopefully it'll become very obvious by the end where CIRF reports come into this. We basically all have a swing, just like this swing is swinging back and forth. And no, I'm not trying to hypnotize anybody. This is the concept. This is the model. Our lives, if you want to think about your life, is that is that yin yang symbol, that sphere, swinging back and forth. And we go to bed every night when we're tired, and then you get up during the day and you go do stuff. Well, it seems so obvious, but we've been doing this all wrong for millennia, and this model is to try to extract a new way of being. Well, that's only half the puzzle. A new way of being and doing that is revolutionary. It'll increase life satisfaction, increase creativity, increase harmony across marriages, relationships, friendships will be better, hopefully. And then cultures and work will hopefully be better, because, every once in a while we get tired. There's a lot of companies out there who are starting to understand that just a straight 40-hour work week doesn't work for everybody. And if your swing, or if your life swing, like that yin yang symbol in this picture, is at work, I mean, obviously it doesn't swing this quickly back and forth. You might have 4 hours of due time, and then you're tired. And so really we should be swinging over here to be. But all these little categories, these color sections, these represent something in the model. But basically, we need to know when to be and when to do and how to do both of those. All those things that I just mentioned sound so obvious and almost juvenile, but we're doing every one of those things wrong. We're not being correctly. In being, we want to be regenerated, rejuvenated, and we want to be inspired. That's kind of the goals over in being. In doing, there's a lot of people who are focused. Some people are too focused, but the general population doesn't really know how to focus properly and get things done in an efficient manner. And it's not like the work determines for you when to do and when to be and all that. It's what your body produces. So if you're getting sick, obviously, then we need to move over to be and get rejuvenated. If we're feeling full of energy and alive, we should be doing. We should be getting stuff done. And it's not just random doing. It's stuff associated with your life purpose, your mission, and committed action and your highest values, that kind of thing. I'm going to show you a couple more slides because actually I'm going to start over here. So what I'm doing is with IAM2. IAM2 stands for Inspirational Achievement Model. And it stands because you have on the B side, on the being side, you have inspiration. That's kind of one of the goals of the B side is to be inspired. And then ultimately in this life is experience and achievement, but doing is getting your life purpose accomplished. And so it's, people who are always doing and they're never relaxing, never taking time out. But you also know lazy people who are sitting on the couch watching TV all day or playing video games, and they have too much yin. Most people are in balance. They have too much yin or too much yang, and we need both, but not at the same time. The old ancient Taoist would argue that we need to have both at the same time. You need to have the middle road. And this model is revolutionary because the middle road in this model is actually the zombie zone. We don't want to be in the middle. We want to go to the extremes of each side. And this is based on a creativity model from a Czechoslovakian psychologist who's all over TED Talks and everything. I'm going to bring all this stuff in and give you how to properly be and when to be, and then how to properly do using your yang and how to do it properly. I know, yes, it sounds so obvious, but it's not. And these, the higher the swing, the better. And so these color codes represent who and with you're being with or you're doing for, that kind of thing. And then we even have like daily planners to plan out how are you going to accomplish more creativity, because if you're able to get higher swings, you get more creativity, more life satisfaction. If you have very little swing, this swing is representative of people who they got no swing, they got no swagger. The Alzheimer's patient, the drug addict, the little baby who doesn't know how to do anything and just cries when they want something. As we mature as human beings, you start to naturally get some swing into it. And if you translate this into the playground, it's the same kind of concept. If you're not swinging at all at the playground, that's not very fun. But if you start to get a higher swing, life becomes a lot more fun. That's the whole concept here. And depression, very depressed patients would be here in the middle. And it's the idea of getting your swing back. That was the whole concept of this book. Then, we've got tons of pictures from the old book that I'm going to be transporting into the new book, and it's just going to help elucidate these ideas. But here's how CIRF reports come into the mix, because we have controllable forces acting on our life swing. So you got the swing over here on the right hand side, and it's going up and down. What is controlling that life swing? Well, first of all, we have some of these things, some of these energy levels are in our own control. So here's an example of here's controllable forces: what you eat, how your level of hydration and water, and what you're drinking, whether or not you're socializing, what music you're listening to, how much sleep you're getting and your sleep quality, what kind of TV, and all your habits. These are controllable forces that affect the energy that you're going to have in your swing. But that's not everything. And we have what's called uncontrollable forces. And so, things like, I even talked about the CIRF report in this webinar. But CIRF report talks to us about the uncontrollable forces. You can't control the energy coming out of the sun. You can't control where the sun is. The sun comes up in the morning, goes down at night for most locations, and it has a direct effect on most people, most people's cortisol levels, most people's melatonin levels, and therefore makes us either tired, i.e. being, or in the morning when the sun comes up, the cortisol comes up, melatonin goes down, and we start to feel energized, i.e. it's ready to do. So this is the overall program in the nutshell. And what I'm getting ready to do is take the old document, the old book basically, and rewriting it in more clinical ways, but much more scientific proof and referencing. And then I'm going to finish this webinar, and we're going to have webinars. We're going to have a book. And then the CIRF reports are going to give you a day by day, hopefully the long-term plan. CIRFing is going to be every single day. But when we get back into these CIRF reports, and I'm not quitting CIRF reports, but I just don't have the time to do the book and the webinar and all the CIRF reports as well, because it doesn't take just a few minutes to put together a CIRF report. These weekly reports take hours to put together. And so those hours need to be applied towards my life mission, which is bringing in this IAM2 model. And then we can get back to a more robust CIRF report that includes the IAM2. So we'll have the energy. Is it more yin? Is it more yang? Is it yang strong? Is it yin strong? Etc. And then what to do with that energy. So it's all encapsulated here. I just haven't had enough time to do this. I'm working about it's a one-man show here. I'm working about 10 hours a day at my job, and so just have very little time to get these projects done. It's basically one project at a time. I hope you guys understand. You will be the first ones to know when I get some sort of update, and I'll give. Oh, by the way, I have a visit with George Ure coming up next week, visiting with him personally, and we have a lot of things to discuss. George Ure, U-R-E, at urbansurvival.com. He's the one who started National Dream Center, and I took it over for him, and we're going to be getting back together and talking about these exact things. CIRF reports, IAM2. We're going to be talking about the economy, and hopefully his guest on when the economy is going to finally tank and go into the crapper. There's a lot I'm going to be extracting from his brain, but these are just some of the few projects that we're going to be discussing. I'm hoping to get some sort of video together as an interview to put on National Dream Center. I think it'd be very appropriate because he started National Dream Center. And so I'll give you a background as to what the National Dream was, what it is now, where it's headed from both of our brains. And I hope that you stay along for the ride. I understand if you're impatient and want those CIRF reports. I don't see any other way to do it, just because I'm the only person doing all these projects. But the CIRF report is a subset of IAM2. I've got to get IAM2 out there. This is the kind of stuff that affects you day in and day out, minute by minute, literally minute by minute. As this model was developed, the yin yang model, the swinging model, gave me something to visualize as I was going through every single experience of my life. Am I supposed to be being in this case, or am I supposed to be doing in this case? And then, of course, how to go about doing all that, how to behave, how to think, how to emote. And so I think it's very helpful. The clients that I've used for the clients that I have given this model to absolutely love it. And I will probably give free copies of my book out. One is finally done to my patrons here at National Dream Center. And I hope you stick with me. I hope to put out some more content. They may or may not be CIRF related until I get that IAM2 stuff fully complete. But I'm really excited about it. I know this eclipse energy was behind this, and I also know that the Saturn conjunct Pluto, if you think about how Saturn is the way everything should be, the way it's always been is Saturn, the foundation and the law. It's kind of the structure. And then you've got Pluto that doesn't like structure. It obliterates the way things have already been. It's a transformation. And so those things are holding hands together in this period of time as an eclipse is happening. And it's holding both ideas, both the way things always have been, but it's being transformed. And with the eclipse energy, it's a new you. And so maybe, just maybe, all of you have been feeling this transformative power and have decided to get on with your life mission as well. I'm going to be here all the while. I'm going to be feeding you guys updates. And so hang with me. If all this sounds very interesting, make sure you share that to people who might really need this. I did a webinar for bipolar folks, specifically for bipolar, and it works really well, this model, because the doing side, the extreme doing is manic, and the extreme being is depression. And if people know that there are benefits of both of those sides, they can learn how to gain those sides. So depression doesn't become the enemy anymore, and we have a lot more acceptance, which is relaxing. The only other thing I'll say is that this model is going to focus in on sympathetic and parasympathetic for all of you physiologically inclined people and scientific folks and even psychological folks. But doing is sympathetic. I mean, I suppose you could do as in a relaxed state, but sympathetic is more fight or flight, and it's more of anxiety and focus and get it done, and heartbeat is higher. But the being obviously is a parasympathetic state. And the only way to gain energy and get rejuvenated is to be properly relaxed with a high level of acceptance. And this model calls it surrender, surrendering to your will. Surrendering to the world, the uncontrollable forces, etc. All right, I hope all this makes sense, and I hope that it resonates with a lot of you. And I look forward to feeding you updates about how the project is coming along. And when I get this done, then the CIRF reports will be the next thing to transform just a little bit. And I'm planning on adding things from the IAM2 model into the CIRF report so that it becomes a pure IAM2 project. But by and large, it's going to stay the same. We need to know what the collective mind is doing to us. That's an uncontrollable force. We can react to it differently if we know what it is. Also, astrology is an undefined force. It's a defined force, but it's an uncontrollable force. You can't control that stuff. You can react to it, though. And if you know what those influences are, we can react much better, in my opinion. You can accentuate the energies that are available. All right, that's it. If you've got any questions or I said something that's disturbing, then please let me know. Otherwise, stay tuned Hopefully next week we'll give you some interview information or the actual interview with George at urbansurvival.com. And I'm excited. Thanks everybody for being patient and understanding. We will catch up with you soon. Thanks.